So today we're talking with Cody Sadler from Sadler Powder Coating in Henderson, Texas. Cody, thank you for joining us today, and tell us a little bit about all that you all do down at Sadler Powder Coating.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tim. We're located about 2 hours east of Dallas here in Henderson. Started the business a little over 12 years ago, powder coating only. Did a lot of oil and gas pipeline stuff, just the residential patio furniture, automotive wheels, etc. About year 2 or 3, our oil and gas customers were sending us parts off their coil tubing rigs, etc., and really ask us, why are you not painting? You could be a one-stop shop. You're powder coating these toolboxes on these trucks for us, but the whole truck actually needs to be painted. And we're like, well, I don't know why we don't paint.
Gotcha.
And so that really forced us into the liquid painting world. And so from that point on, over the last probably 8 years, we have expanded that part of our business. We probably would have never, if we thought we had we're going to paint, we would not be Sadler Powder Coating. It confuses a lot of people because we actually were probably 60-40 liquid paint to powder coating. And so, Lord's been good. The name has not been a challenge or gotten in our way of capturing new business. But anything from, so to answer the original question, we powder coat anything from the residential patio furniture to military items, oil and gas, and then on the flip side, we paint the same. If it can't go in the oven and take the temperatures that the oven, the baked on temperature, then we have the alternative to liquid paint it.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, you guys do some very, very large parts. I see. I know those photograph well, but I know, like I said, you do a lot of, not so big parts. You do kind of a lot of, for anybody that really kind of wants a good finish, you guys are ready, I guess, are willing to work with them on it.
We are. I'll say, though, over the last couple of years, the business model has changed. Just obviously, the bigger that you get, the overhead's a lot larger. And so that's really been the challenge over the last 12 months as the overhead of the facility, just what it takes to keep the doors open. And it takes the commercial and the industrial business, our large oil and gas, our military business. And so it's really been difficult to work in the smaller, wheels, the patio front, just those things that really make us come to a complete stop. We need to be running a color for a day, 2 days, 3 days. And so those are the challenges we're working on, working through. We've built a second powder coating shop that hopefully will allow us to do more of those our legacy customers of how we actually were built. And we're doing a startup on that facility today. So fingers crossed. But it's really been a blessing.
Gotcha. Right. Well, let me go back to that because I know it was started by you and your 2 brothers, correct? Tell us about how you got started in that, what experience you had, and really how you all, what was the first couple months and years like for you all?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my brother Seth and I, we own the business. I'm the oldest of 7 boys. He and I are 14 months apart, and there was actually originally 3 of us. Sadler number 4 of the 7. It was Seth, Samuel, and I that started the business. My grandparents owned a barbecue fully cooked meat company in Henderson. They sold that company in 2007. And so Seth and I really, coming from an entrepreneurial family, we had an opportunity. My parents owned this paint facility. It used to be a paint facility 30 years ago when they lived here. And when we got here, there was nothing happening. It was just property. So I was in sales in the meat company. Seth ran the facility and had some knowledge of powder coating. And so to kind of fast forward, when in 2010, we decided, the family's no longer in the barbecue business. What do we want to do? And so we started this powder coating company. Didn't know a lot about it. my brother Seth had some knowledge based on his experience in the plant of the barbecue business, and we just took a leap of faith, really. And so we knew oil and gas was a big thing, the liners, pipeliners, and we knew that powder could be used for that. But just a lot of cold calling, blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, really, to get to this place. I worked for a family business our entire life, but until it's yours, there's so many different things that you don't think about that you experience. And being a salesperson, well, selling is really easy for me. Well, now I'm the CFO, the ops guy. Well, I better be making money now on what I'm selling. And that's been my biggest challenge to myself is, Cody, don't just get the sale and pat yourself on the back. Did the company make money? And, especially with the COVIDs and, the different economic challenges of today, we've really had to do these deep dives and really get a better understanding of where our costs come from, what hurts us, what helps us. And so it's been a fun, neat challenge up to this point.
Right. Yeah, I've seen your property. You have a lot of property there, like I said, 15 acres, and I see you've got a lot of different buildings built there. Tell us about that progression. So you went from about 5,000 square foot, now you've got over 20,000. Is it just as the business grew, you put up more buildings, or to do that, or?
Yeah, we did. So we started off the original powder coating shop as it was a 5,500 square foot shop, and that used to be 30 years ago. That used to be just a metal paint building. A company before my family owned the property. We converted that into a powder coating shop, and then there was one sandblasting shop. As we've grown, the facility is actually totality is 29 acres. We have room to still expand. The business itself runs on the front 15 acres of the property. So really, as we gain new business, started new coating processes, we expanded as we needed to. So currently on this 15 acres, we've got 2 60 by 40 foot sandblast shops. We have 4 climate controlled paint booths, and then now 2 powder coating shops that we operate out of. We have a small fab shop. We build our own racking systems for the paint and our powder shop. So we've got a 2,400 square foot fab shop that we use just for our own fabrication and needs on the property.
Right. In the second shop, or the second powder coating operation you said you were opening, is that on your acreage there, or is it's there?
It is. It is actually next to, and I'll shoot you some photos of the facility so you can kind of have a better idea later today, but it sits next to our original our powder shop. They're just next to each other. In the front of both of those shops, though, we've laid about 12,000 square feet of concrete for staging purposes. That was a real bottleneck before, but now we've got this big open area of concrete to roll our racks, loading, unloading, etc. And it's really helped the flow of the company, because how the facility works is the sandblast shops are at the back side of our facility, so items are brought up the hill to the front part of the concrete pad, stage there, powder coat, rolls out, and then trucks pick up on the front side of that pad. And so it's really been nice to really get true volume out of the facility by opening that up.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about, like I said, you started out as powder coating, and then a lot of your customers, you were saying, came to you and said, hey, can you do liquid applications for us, right? Talk about that, how that grew your business.
Yeah, so really, oil and gas has always obviously been being in East Texas, oil and gas was a big part of our business. In 2014, 2015, it took a little lick. And so we were painting by that time, but we were probably 75% of our business was oil and gas. Well, we knew that there was a lot more things that we could offer the coatings industry. We just didn't have the facility. So at that point in time, even though we slowed down business wise, we actually built a second and third paint shop, made them climate controlled, force cure heat systems. And from that little lull and, taking that leap of faith to kind of build and expand of more product offerings, it really allowed us to pick up military business that we never had before. We do a lot of military satellites. We do work for a company that's like zipline roller coasters that we've shipped all over the world. It just really, as we expanded the facility and product offerings, it really enabled us to do. We've done water slides for a park in Branson, Missouri. So it's just as we've grown, if we had a little lull, we built. It's really hard to build in the middle of a busy growth year like we're doing right now. But, as an entrepreneur,
Right.
Your chips are in the middle of the table anyway. We've just decided, take an opportunity in the slow time to grow the facility to be able to offer more to our customer base.
How many people do you have working for you there now in all the operations you have?
We've got about 20 employees, including 4 of us Sadler boys that work here. My brother and I operate the business, and then 2 brothers. One runs the paint facility, one runs the powder facility. But going back to the employees, the employees are really the important. We don't have a business without them. And I'm a control person and I'm a micromanager. But as we have grown, it's really opened my eyes that, hire good people, give them goals, steer them in the right direction, but you got to let people be themselves and apply their talents. So we really run the business as kind of more of a servant leadership, stewardship position, and really try not to micromanage. But we have got a heck of a team that takes a lot of pride in what they do. And I think if you take care of your employees and show them where you're going, the direction of the business. I talk about our work a lot with our employees, the customers we're doing business with, what it's meaning to their business, so that they can take ownership in it. And you see the reflection of our products. The quality is really the thing that stands out, what we want to stand out when someone thinks of Sadler powder coating. And that comes with our employees. And so we have a really strong team,
Right.
Family members and guys that have been with us, many, many years. For us being a young company, we've had guys that have been with us, 10, 11 years.
Right. Yeah. You were mentioning that you recently sort of converted over you got some sweeper products that a company, and you converted them from liquid to powder. Is that correct? Is that they were doing? Were you painting the liquid, and then now you're doing the powder? How did that all come about that you got to convert?
Yeah, so they actually were doing their own liquid paint in house, and their orders got too big for them to keep up with the demand, and they're 25 minutes down the road, and so looking at a way this summer to kind of alleviate some pressure from their plant, the throughput is much faster to powder, and so they transitioned that business to powder. Thank goodness they've entrusted us to do that for them. There was a lot that went into those decisions, and obviously anything can change, but they have really catapulted our industrial and commercial business out of the powder shop. We do a lot of water pipeline for big cities, San Antonio, etc. That all comes out of the powder shop. They're fusion bonded epoxy liners, and then obviously the oil and gas, saltwater disposal, H2S gas. We do a lot of liners like that out of our powder shop as well. It's neat for a little company
Yeah, I
out
was going
here.
to say,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say when you're doing, that's okay, no problem. But when you're doing oil and gas, you're talking some of the most corrosive environments out there, right? So your quality has to be top notch. It sounds like you all are really, working very closely with your customers to give them that very top notch quality in a very corrosive environment, right?
Yes, absolutely. So probably with cost rising over the last 3 to 5 years, uh, the paint specs were not near as demanding. And when I say paint specs, the uh, documentation and your processes were not
Mm-hmm.
near as important as they are today for failure purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, where I think we were a little bit ahead of the curve is we have always done a good job of documenting our processes, from it being the sandblast process, what type of mills we were getting out of that blast process, to our primer coat, top coat, etc. And the industry now is 100%. Any of the top oil and gas companies in the world, their specs, you, you've got to live in that documentation coding process. And so that it's really helped us. Um, it wasn't new when the demand started to
Mm-hmm.
being forced on every project, if that makes
Right.
sense. But
Right.
it's even in the powder world. I mean,
Right. Sure does. Yeah.
before it was like just get a coating on it. Well, no, now you got to have your backup of what was the process
Mm-hmm.
in case there was ever failure.
Right. Right. Talk about, you personally, I mean, like you said, 2010, you all started kind of as a small operation. And as you grow, more responsibilities, right? You, like you said, you're writing checks, and that's very, very important. How have you sort of, as the business has grown from, 5,000 to 10,000 to, 11, to 20,000, how has it changed you as a business owner? Like you said, making sure that what you're doing is profitable for you all. I mean, it's got to be, or else you can't be in business. But how have you changed and learned and grown over that time?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is as I told you, a big downfall, not a bad downfall, being a control person. You want to be touching and feeling everything, and the moment that I'm not is when I feel the chaos. But it's really, you know, over the last 4 or 5 years, not to get too preachy about it, but I had a lot of anxiety. Where the sales going to come from? Are we spending our money wisely? But at the end of the day, my brother and I was like, you know what? I'm going to end up having a heart attack growing this business. This is the Lord's business. If we're supposed to stay in business, He is going to open the doors. And literally, my prayer every single day that I walk into this office is, Lord, whoever we're supposed to do business with, if they honor and glorify you, open those doors. If it doesn't honor and glorify you, close the door. I don't keep it cracked for me. I don't want to think about it. Like, open it up or close it. And Tim, that has been the biggest relief for me over the last 4 or 5 years. I don't worry about the growth anymore. I don't worry about the spend. I worry about serving our customers, making sure that we turn out a quality product. But all those other things, I've really given to Him. And that's kind of the short, big answer of how I lay my head down at night and how I have changed over the years from starting the business to today. Specifically with a lot more responsibility, as
Yeah.
you have said. But he's really given me that peace in
Right.
turn to go, you know what, it's yours. Do with it what you want.
Right.
And we'll steer the boat.
Right. Good. Yeah. Good advice. Yeah. Good advice to other owners to kind of have faith and just kind of stay straight with it, right, and keep working with it. So let me ask you, like I said, you're opening up some. Like you're opening up some new facilities there. What's the game plan? What do you all have? Have you thought out that much? It seems like you all are so busy and on your day-to-day operations and everything. But what's your game plan? What do you have in the future of how you're going to for Sadler powder coating, where it's going to go?
Yeah, so there has been the sweeper business, street sweeper business. It did kind of catapult us into that next growth phase, but there was a method behind the madness. We have a lot of things that I can't really share online just yet, but there are some big opportunities that we have already been set up as a vendor for a few very large, well-known customers going into 2023. And so we needed to go ahead and grow for that anyway. The sweeper business allowed us to go ahead and justify the spend now because it has been a large spend. I do see us adding in 2023 probably a fifth liquid paint shop and probably another sandblast shop. So if all of this comes into fruition, but yes, we've have some things that have been in discussion for a while. We've done a lot of testing on some of these new products over the last 6 months. So we see 2023 as being a big year, at least for the early conversations that we've had.